The Syrian leadership says it's committed to political reforms and peaceful change. Members of Russia's upper house of parliament are on a fact-finding mission to Syria, and they had talks with President Assad after hosting the country's opposition in Moscow here last week. Let's talk more about this and head to Canada. We're joined there by Michelle Chisodowski from the Centre for Research on Globalisation. Michelle, very good evening to you. Thanks for being on RT International. It was good to see you. Russia says Western powers are piling pressure on the Syrian regime, but turning a blind eye on the other side to atrocities by the opposition. I mean, can Russia and its delegation help shed light on what's really going on, do you think?
Well, first of all, we must clarify what is the opposition. There's an opposition within Syrian civil society which operates within the confines of the law and which has also dialogue with the government. And then there's an insurgency which is funded and supported by outside forces. And this insurgency is largely integrated by Islamists. It's a jihadist movement, Salafists, as well as Muslim Brotherhood. And consequently, this insurgency is there to destabilize and create a pretext for responsibility to protect NATO intervention in Syria.
OK, well, Moscow's saying that the Syrians should resolve the crisis themselves, at least try to, without that external involvement or international pressure in any shape or form where it may come. Do you think the people of Syria can manage without Western involvement, though?
First of all, I think that there's absolutely no justification for any kind of foreign interference modeled on Libya. If there is any kind of action to be taken, it should be taken against the NATO powers which are interfering in the internal affairs of sovereign countries. They have blood on their hands, and they present themselves as humanitarians with a view to ensuring so-called pro-democracy movements in various countries, in this case Syria, when in fact those forces are largely integrated by terrorists. This is well documented. I think what is required in the wake of the Russian delegation's mission is an investigation into the causes and consequences of this insurrection. We have information that NATO headquarters in Brussels and the Turkish High Command are in fact drawing up plans for their first military step into Syria. And we also know that NATO is in fact recruiting jihadists, to assist them in their campaign in these various countries.
So what you're saying, we're, I guess, maybe likely to see a repeat of the Libyan scenario, the way that's all played out. Do you think it'll go that way then?
Well, it would not be the Libyan scenario because Syria is a country of more than 20 million people. It is at the crossroads of major oil producers. It's in the heart of the Middle East. It's surrounded by other countries. And any kind of military intervention in Syria would immediately lead to a scenario of escalation. And this is something which hopefully will be addressed by the Russian delegation in its discussions with the Syrian authorities. What is on the Pentagon's drawing board from the 90s is a military campaign directed against Syria, which inevitably would also trigger a much broader conflict with the involvement of Israel, Lebanon, and possibly even Iran, because in effect, from the strategic point of view, the road to Tehran goes through Damascus. So we're in a very dangerous crossroads. And hopefully this mission by the Russian upper house of the Duma will clarify matters, but it should certainly lead to targeting those countries which are sponsoring this insurrection.
All right. But, I mean, you're painting a very gloomy picture there. Taking everything you say, but Russia's calling on both sides to talk in Syria. From what you've been saying, there isn't any danger that they're going to talk anytime soon, though, no?
Well, the question is, there's an opposition within Syria which exists within civil society, and then there's an insurrection outside. There's some form of a national Salvation Council in Turkey, which doesn't necessarily represent Syrian public opinion. There are terrorist attacks directed against the Christian community in various parts of the country, which are well documented. Syria is a secular society, and I think there's a lot of room for progress between the government and opposition forces. But this is not what foreign powers have in mind. What they want is to destabilize Turkey by funding and supporting an armed insurrection, which does not represent a very large sector of Syrian public opinion. In fact, a very small minority.
OK, Michelle Chusudovsky from the Centre for Research on Globalisation. Thanks for joining us on the line tonight from Montreal. Always really good to get your view on developing news events. Thank you.